Hello and welcome. Hey, my name's cScot, and we're here today to look at a new mod. Or not a new mod, but a mod that's been out for a while, but one that we've played with a lot recently, and I'm really excited to show you. It's called Rockhounding Mod Chemistry, and in looking at it, it's a very, very complex mod. It's got a whole bunch of really cool things and functionality and amazing models with it. But with that, we're going to break this thing down, and we're going to look through the quest, or the book that it's got. Not a quest book, but it's a book. It's a manual. Some people call it the War and Peace, but it's an absolutely amazing manual for this mod. We're going to go through it, and we're going to break this series down. We're going to do about 6 or 7 videos, short ones that will take this down with us. And what it'll do is we'll go through each of the stages and phases of it. With that, let's get going. All right. So very first things here first, let's start right here. So Rockhounding Mod Chemistry Guidebook is going to be 3 pieces of paper and 1 piece of redstone. And this book is amazing. All right, so we'll start here at the very beginning here. So read me first. Yep, got it. Okay. But the way this is broken down, and let's talk about this because I think it's key, because there's 160 some pages within this manual, and it can be quite daunting if you don't understand how to go through it. The first one's a mod concepts. He takes you through exactly what you're going to do there. And then you talk about structures. You're going to talk about the way the connections look, and we'll talk about all of this stuff. The different GUI elements, which are really great. Some of the storage networks, we will also discuss this too, and then back into kind of the progression piece. The way that this series is going to be broken up, we're going to do a video for each one of these stages so that they stay fairly short and that we have the ability to get through each one of these in a timely manner. But it gives you kind of the ability to skip back and forth of where you're going and currently where you're at. The resources wise, it'll talk about this. The other one I think is worth noting is utility blocks. So if you run into any questions here, it lays everything out for you within the manual. So this talks about the water pump, which is a new thing that we're using. Take for instance the gas holder, and we'll discuss this too, but it shows you all sorts of these different utility blocks that are internal to the mod pack. Next, utility items. They're very simple. We'll talk about the wrench, the nullifier, and some of these different ones too, as long as these different items. Structures. This one is key right here. So in here, we've got tier 1 structures, which shows all the tier 1 stuff. You got tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. The great thing about this is what it does is it shows you the list of what you need for it, right? And then it shows you how to set it up. Super, super cool that way. Okay. And then it'll actually give you an example of what it looks like all set up. So with that in mind, we're going to go, here we go. Read me first. Our very first progression for resources. Okay. And we start talking about this, and the very first thing you're going to want to do is start getting resources. So within it, it tells where you want to get a couple things. One, we need a lot of coal. So we're going to grab coal, we're going to grab a lot of iron, and we're going to get redstone. These 3 things are all vanilla, and it doesn't need anything else. In all actuality, you can throw in Rockhounding Mod Chemistry straight into your pack without anything else, and it can run alone by itself. Pretty cool mod. You need a little granite. Now, Rockhounding Mod Chemistry adds in uninspected minerals, which is the key to how all of it breaks down and works down. And this will be further in. You mine a bunch of this up, and then we'll end up putting this into our mineral sizer, and it starts giving it our ganges and all sorts of other things that come out of it. And finally, we're going to need some nether quartz. A fair amount of that, actually. So we're going to want to get some of that. Okay, now that we got that, now we've got all our minerals on us, which we're not going to need those. We've got everything set up for you here. And we're going to start talking about kind of the basics of it. So everything starts with the profiling bench. The profiling bench is very, very simple. A piston, iron ingots, and stone slabs. Now with this, this will show you all the different things you can do. So you see up there where it says pattern generic. If you punch with your left click button, it changes the pattern. Okay, very simple there. And then you get the pattern you want, and then you add the element in. So let's take iron ingot here, for instance. And one of the things you're going to need a lot of is foil. You just take this, place it in there without any energy. It makes you 8 foil. Pretty simple, pretty cool, right? Yep. The next thing we're going to need is an evaporation tank. The evaporation tank is very, very simple too to build. It's going to be slabs and 2 stone bricks. Very simple. It's a very, very easy start to the pack, to the mod actually. And then finally we're going to need a seasoning rack. Your evaporation tank, to give you a little idea about what it does, water goes into it, evaporates down into a salt, and then that salt will go into the seasoning rack. If we look a little bit closer at exactly what it does, we can check here. Utility blocks, and actually I want to say I think that's in a tier 1. It's going to be under our structures here, tier 1. This is the evaporation tank, and it's a small fillable, gives you raw salt, okay, and it gives you a whole bunch of other things it talks about here with it, when and where it collects, how it collects. So pay attention to this, because these make a big difference on if you're not getting the evaporation of the salt out of it that you need. Okay, the seasoning rack is going to be, again, a very simple recipe with wood planks, wood slabs, and 1 piece of iron. Okay, and the GUI looks like inside here, your raw salt will go in here and you'll get a refined salt coming out of there. If we look in here, I think we talk about the seasoning rack too. Yes, we do. Unpowered device processes things, specifically our salts that we're going to need. Okay. Those are all your basic setup of of what you need to get started with the mod pack. Doing the profiling bench, evaporation tank, and the seasoning rack. And then we're going to kind of build into a little bit more. Kind of a new portion of the pack that's come out recently is the water pump. Now the water pump is going to it does not use energy. It requires a redstone signal, which will be basically you add on to this side a lever, and that will run it. But that's a little bit more complex, and you're going to need your profiling bench set up to do that. So you'll get your iron foil, a turbine stator right here, which is no more than more iron foil with a machine scaffold, which is here. Glass pipe, which is pretty easy. You run through with the coil pattern a piece of glass, and it gives you your glass pipe. And then your machine scaffolding is a little bit complex, but it's not too bad either. It's just iron arms, which run an iron ingot with an arm pattern, and then iron rods. You'll guess, yes, a rod pattern. So, but that's really cool, and it's brand new. So if we look real quickly here at our structure blocks, it's the utility block and the water pump. Okay, it's going to tell you what its impellers and the efficiency that it gives you. So with an iron impeller, what is it actually crafted with? It's giving you 200 millibuckets per tick. Aluminum, it gives you 1,000, and stellite, it gives you that 2,000 millibuckets per tick. So it gives you the options to be able to upgrade this thing as you get further on in the pack. And your impellers look something like this. You need a turbine rotor, which again is just going to be 2 compressing units, which those are a little complex to build, but again, you got iron coils, iron foil, pistons, and a basic logic chip, which is really not too bad. You'll need some gold on this one too. So, all right, and then your foil we've already talked about. Your aluminum impeller really is just going to change this up, so now you just need aluminum foil around it. And then your stellite here is you just need the foil from that. Very simple, very cool, and let's actually grab the aluminum one here, and we'll show you how that changes out. Finally, we talk about the wrench here, the mod wrench. That's going to be a stick, iron ingot, and 2 nuggets. So, with that, let's talk about some of the things that how things work in this. So, each one of these things has a port, or what do we connect to? Because there's going to be pipes, there's going to be everything running all over the place. If you see a blue port, that's an input port. Orange is output. Red of this nature is going to be the power port. What we see here is a power station. And gold, as you see here, is going to be connections between machines. So getting that all understanding right off the bat is I think key. So again, blue, orange, red, and gold. Understand what each one of those ports do. Now when we talk about the power station can give us energy and runs power on this. There's 2 types of power that run in this. We have redstone and coal. Okay, on this side you have coal, and on this side you have redstone. Some of the machines require redstone to also be present. So the way this works, coal should go in. Actually, you have to select the fuel module first. Coal goes in, it goes up. Cool, easy. This turns it on. So now it'll produce. Now, if we want redstone to go into it, you have to select the redstone module, and then put it in, and redstone goes in also. So there's 2 types. They're not always needed on each one, but make sure you read the manual. for the specific structure that you're building on what exactly type of power is going to be required. Later on, we will show how you can hook this up to a thing called syngas and produce your own power off of cracked coal for everything. Very, very cool situation with that. So, the water pump here, we discussed that you can change out the impellers. All you have to do on that is right click on it and it changes them out for you. So there's an iron one and there's our aluminum back. So you see now it gives us the higher tiers. So actually, yep. So cool. Next thing we want to talk about is pipes. So there's two types of pipes in here. We have fluid pipes and we have gas pipes. The fluid pipes require three things. The first one being a pump, the actual duct, and a valve. So coming out, you need a pump, and then connecting them, you need a duct, and then going into a system, you need a valve. Okay, these are crafted pretty easily. Again, foil, redstone, a piston, and glass. As far as the duct here, you're going to need just foil and glass, and those actually return a pretty good number for you. This one does not. It's only a 1-to-1, and this is an 8-to-1 ratio. If we look up here, pipe, and right here, so to give you 8 for each one of those. When you're talking about your valve, you're actually going to need to change out that with a comparator. So, and again, that's a 1-to-1 crafting that you get with it. Now, how do you use these things, for instance? Well, that's pretty simple. It's going to come, you're going to put it down, and it's going to have red dots on it like this. All you need to do is shift right click with a hand and empty hand, and it will turn these on. So now they're on and they will actually continue to go. If we were to use our wrench that we have over here, let's grab that. We can change the output flow of these things by clicking on it with a wrench. So normal, yeah, maybe it's here, but we can update that with this wrench. So it's something worth doing. Yep, see, so we can turn it off, and that's just right clicking with it. Okay, and same thing there. So, but good. And here's also. So now if we actually select these and just right click on it, it gives us some options in here that we can add fluid filters to each one of these, which is pretty cool. You can state what you want to go into it. Another great thing about these pipes is that they'll carry everything in it. So take, for instance, you're moving water and two other fluids. They all can go through the same pipe, and you can then have them come out depending on which pipeline is there. So take, for instance, if we look in here, and we talk about the concepts here of storage networks, you notice here that coming out of the lab oven and the gas burner refinery, that you got the orange line, right? And it's all going up into it. It's going through the same pipe. So that's a pretty cool thing that you can actually do with this mod pack, or with this mod. Second one we've got is gas pipelines. Work the same way, except that you don't have a pump on the end of it. You still got, a valve, I'm sorry. You have a pump, but you don't have the valve. So again, right clicking on it will, shift right clicking on it will enable that. To make this, it's pretty simple again. Instead, use a glass pipe instead of the glass, foil, pumps, and a block of redstone. You have an 8-to-1, or it'll craft 8 of these for your pipes, and that'll be, forget that guy right there. You got iron foil and then glass pipes, and that'll create 8 of those. Okay, now that we've discussed pipes, let's talk about fluid holders, or holders. The first one we have is a fluid tank, which will hold 1,000 millibuckets, or 1,000 buckets. So it holds 1,000,000 millibuckets, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. If we were to grab a bucket, we can see that here. Do I have any iron? Let's see if we can quickly craft up something here. I think I have some iron somewhere here. 1, 2, 3. Yep, there we go. Actually, we'll steal some from over here, because I know we got plenty here. There we go. Okay, and what do you always do? Punch a tree. Yeah, we'll punch this tree right here. Never mind. Yeah, I wanted to show this to you guys. I didn't think about this as we were initially doing it, but I think it's well worth us taking a quick look at this. So let's do a crafting bench here, and we'll throw this up here real quick. Okay, and right there, beautiful place for this. Okay, 1 bucket. Okay, Okay, and this bucket here, now you'll notice when we fill it, it's got one bucket, right? And it can hold an absolute ton of fluid in it, up to 1,000,000 millibuckets. So that's a ton. Okay. If you right click it, you can also add a fluid filter. So we can say that we want water in it. I don't know if I can add this, but we'll try here. Nope. Let's try this again. There we go. I think we can put, now we'll need an amulet to actually do that, but you can actually state what you want it to, here's a filter for it. So that is your fluid tank, and the fluid tank is crafted with iron casings, which is something new that we haven't seen, which is an iron block with an iron casing pattern. It'll give you 16 iron casings, so that's a pretty good return. I think that's fair. Machine scaffolding, glass, and your iron rods will give you a fluid tank. So that holds fluids, any fluid, and it's pretty great. Gas holder, the next thing we want to discuss. The gas holder will hold 1,000,000 cubic units of gas, or a lot. So it'll hold a ton, actually. It's pretty cool when you think about it. Again, you have a way to filter the gas in here, which is really cool. And then the other thing is you have the ability to void them. So like right here, we can void this out very quickly, which is a nice option. But to craft the gas holder, you're going to need, again, instead of the glass in here, you need a compressing unit. We've already looked at one of these. Again, your basic logic chip and everything around the block there. So that is your pipes. That is your holders, or your containers, you would say, for different gases and fluids. We talked about ports and everything else. So now let's kind of get into the meats and potatoes here of setting up one of these systems right off the bat. I don't want to do all those, but we'll go here, 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 and here. Now I want to grab out this. We'll grab out some of this, the 2 hoppers, glass, and the profiling bench. Okay, so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to set right here, I'm going to set a chest, and then we're going to take the hoppers and we're going to build off of this. So we're going to go here, set the profiling bench on the top, set a hopper there, and if I can get up here, and if we can jump tonight, there. Okay. And so this now automates this in some sort of fashion. So take, for instance, we want to go foils, right? And let's do 1, 2. So what that'll do is that'll feed into here. And this is all automated. There's nothing else added to this. But you got Rockhounding Mod Chemistry, and you have vanilla Minecraft. So there you go. There's 16, and it should do 8. So that was pretty quick. We can also do the same thing with glass, which let's set this up for right here. We'll do the glass pipe here, which is right there, which is the coil. And 1, 2, and real quickly there it goes. It pops the first one, sucks it down. There's the second one. Pretty stinking quick when you look at it. So cool. So that's how that's a way to automate the profiling bench and set it up. Next, let's talk about the water pump here. So said water pump, let's go ahead and set these up here. I think we want to go this way, like this. We'll come in the back side here, remove all this here, and then we'll add in our redstone signal to it, turn these on, and now you'll see that they'll start to fill up with water. Right? Absolutely pretty sweet, huh? Okay, so next we're going to need pumps and valves and pipe, because then we're going to fill up this fluid tank. So we go here, there, and there, and then we're going to have to pull some pipe across the front of it here, just like that. And then let's go ahead and set this in. I want to set it up just a bit here, and we'll go right there on top of that. Very cool. And then we're going to need a valve and another duct. So to turn that on, these guys are filling up pretty quick. Again, we shift right click to do this, and then we peg it on there. So now you see that that's filling up. Look how quick that goes. So water, we now have water. Next, we wanted to set up a seasoning tank and the evaporation tank. So we'll kind of move all of these up. And so let's grab these out. And again, we're going to set this up from the simple point of we're going to go, this is going to be kind of high. So we're going to go here. I'm going to set this with that. On top of that, we're going to go the evaporation tank. I take that back. That's why I brought the diamond pickaxe today with us. And there we go. We want to go with the seasoning rack on top first. Okay, seasoning rack. And then we'll go to the hopper, and then we're going to have to jump up top here and place down the evaporation tank. Okay. So now we're going to have to move water from there into the evaporation tank. So we need a pump, we need a duct, and valves. So see if I can get up on top here, and we're going to pull from the top. So we're going to pull from there, and we should be pretty level there. So we can go there and right. Okay, so now we just turn them on, there and there. Now that's pulling down. You see that's full of water up there. And so what this is going to do, this is going to slowly start to break itself down. When that's going to do that is it's going to produce salt, which is going to then transfer itself into the seasoning rack. It's going to do the raw salt. And it's a fairly slow process, so this is something you want to get set up early. If you notice the manual here when we start discussing kind of progression-wise for resources, we want to get a lot of this started early. So quartz, salt, and unexpected ore. So the salt is what I'm talking about. We got to get this set up early. As you can see, it's really pretty simple to get going, but we need this going because you need a lot of salt the further on you go into the process. So give it just a second here. I'm going to let this process down into salt, and I will see you guys in just a second when that's done. As you can see, it's switching to virgin water now. So I will catch up with you guys in just a second. All right, we're about at the final stage here. We're about 6 or 7 stages into this that require it. There we go. And now you see it's down in here. It comes out as a raw salt block, and it'll come into the seasoning rack. It's gonna process through the seasoning rack, and it'll go. And we'll see what it turns into here in a second. But while that's going, let's talk about a couple things. One, you're going to want multiple evaporation tanks set up. As you can see, it's a slow process. It's about a 5-minute process to get all the way to that point. Again, read the manual and follow these steps here, making sure that this doesn't happen. Okay, it's pretty key because it's not going to process as fast if you don't. If you're not following this. Again, at altitudes above 120 level speeds up evaporation. We are on sea level right here, so it will make it go faster. But this is about done, and this is really the first stage. As you can see, it makes straight salt. That'll get placed into here. Now, the reason why I wanted taking you all through this is because of the fact of you need to get a lot of this set up, and it's got to be early, right? I think we've talked about this, that the phase 1, or when talking about progression, stage 1 is you need to get your resources collected. So we talked about coal, iron, redstone, granite, quartz, and uninspected minerals. The last piece of that is salt, and you need a lot of it. And so getting this sort of system set up early is going to set you up for success throughout the rest of the mod. So with that, I want to let you guys go. Stay tuned. We will do a phase 2, and we'll start building some larger machines, specifically the mineral sizer and the lab blender, which will take us through phase 2, and they do a lot of different things. But with that, I hope that you guys understand now how each one of these pieces work, kind of the new water pump, along with pipes, all the connections, and everything else. If you have questions, concerns, comments, or complaints, please by all means leave them in the comment section. Or if you want to, please join us. We have a Discord channel set up. It's under the Primal, specifically the Primal store stuff. We'll always answer questions over there. But with that, I thank you all, and we'll catch you all again very, very soon.